Hi everybody, welcome to Bike Revs. I'm Mark. Now I don't know about you guys, but I like to have my phone mounted onto my handlebars. It's great for sat nav and seeing where all the latest speed traps are and things like that. So what I've used for the last 3.5 years or so is this thing here. This is made by Greyfly. It was less than £20 on Amazon, and all it is a sort of spring-loaded set of grips that you can stick your phone in, and with a bit of wiggling you get your phone on, lock it out at the back, and there we go, your phone's mounted to the handlebars. Now the phone has never fallen off there. It's been fantastic, as I say, for the last 3.5 years, but it is really the reason why I've still got a Samsung Galaxy S8 when I think we're onto about Samsung Galaxy 23 by now. So I might want to upgrade my phone. I'm not sure I really trust that, even though it's never let me down if I've got a better phone on there. So what I've done on my bike is that I've now installed a Quadlock. So I'm going to show you all the bits that I had to buy. I've got the clamp, I've got the anti-vibration dampening, and I've got a wireless charger, weatherproof wireless charger on top. And then there's all the cabling as well. So I'm going to show you how I set that up, because I've seen some absolutely terrible installations of these Quadlocks. But hopefully mine's going to look a bit better. So let's take a closer look at the Quadlock. Okay then, I needed to buy 3 things to get this thing on the bike. The first one was this motorcycle handlebar mount. As you can see, you've got a cuff which goes around the handlebars, then you've got the bar which is an extension bar, and then this mechanism to release the phone and to put it on. Now you can tell by the packaging that this is a really good quality product, and I've got to say, I'm not on the take, I'm not sponsored by them in any way, but you can just tell that it's a really nice piece of kit. So what I didn't need was this extension bar, that piece there, because that just put the phone too far up in the air and it looked horrible, so I didn't need that. And the other thing I did was to take that lever there, and you can buy them separately, they're a few pounds, you can buy them in different colours. So I didn't want a blue one, but what I did was I took this one apart and I sprayed it black. Now that turned out to be a complete waste of time, because the other thing I bought was the weatherproof wireless charger, and when you use this you don't need one of those because the release mechanism is actually part of that. So that thing comes with all the cables, all the zip ties and Allen keys you could ever need. So that's a great piece of kit as well. That's the expensive part. That's the mounting kit, and then in between the two I've got this vibration dampener, and I'll show you that on the bike. So let's get over there and have a closer look. So let's have a quick look at the cabling. Now you may have seen previous videos about how I installed a USB tender and had it so that I could just put a lead in and run it to my phone. Well, I had a few comments about this, mainly because people said that the USB tender wasn't really up to the job and wouldn't charge a modern phone quick enough. So to resolve this and make things even neater, I've put a new USB charger under the front screen. You should be able to see it at the top with a little white zip tie holding it in place, which makes it really obvious. With everything put back together, you can't actually see a thing, but it does allow me to run a cable out to my new wireless charger. I've got to say, incidentally, that the only thing I've ever used a USB slot for is charging a phone, so I'm not really bothered that the socket is now hidden away and difficult to get to. In fact, I'm really pleased with such a neat result. Okay, so here is my Quadlock on the handlebars. As I say, it needs a bit of tidying up, but I'll just show you how it fits at the moment. I've got this thing, which is my phone cover. These are rather nice, these phone covers, but I had to get this one off eBay because the phone is so old that they don't actually sell these anymore. Anyway, the phone goes on there, we offer it up at 45 degrees. We push it on there, twist, and it's on, and it's as simple as that. Now it takes a little bit of getting used to the exact angle to put it on, but once you're there, it's easy. And then these things at the back, push, and it comes back off, and it's really solid. It's not going to come off there. Okay, that should be it. Everything's installed, the phone's on the bike, and I've been riding around for the last week, but you know what? I'm not 100% happy with this. For some people it would do, but I'm recording a video that says I'm going to do the best possible job that I can. So what are the issues then? Well, there's 2 of them, and let me explain the first one. You see, when you fit one of these, obviously you can set the phone at whatever angle you want, that way or that way, in that sort of plane. Now what you can't do is tilt it from side to side. You're completely at the mercy of the angle of your handlebars, and in this case the phone is tilted like that, so I can't really see it face on unless I cock my head round. As I say, that would probably be okay. I could live with it, but I can do better than that. Now there's a couple of ways to fix this. First of all, Quadlock have brought out a brand new bracket that sits on top of your brake reservoir up here and presents the phone there. Now that's okay, but I kind of haven't gone down that road, and it would be like starting all over again. So the other alternative is that Quadlock have also got this thing called a knuckle. So it's 2 parts and they sit together and they can be adjusted at any angle. So they would sit down there on the handlebars and I'd be able to move the phone sideways. That's the sensible option. It's only about £7.50 and it would be easy enough to fit. But there were two reasons for not using that. Firstly, I hadn't realised it was available, and the second reason is that what I'd end up with is the bracket which lifts the phone slightly off the handlebars, followed by the dampener, followed by the wireless charger, and then I'd have this knuckle in there as well, and by the time the phone sits on top of that stack of things, it would be so high it'd be interfering with my visor. So I'm not going to do that either, not just yet, but I might actually have to do it anyway, but we'll come on to that with problem 2. So the other thing that I can do to fix this is to be able to move this slightly further that way. Now at the moment I can't do it because I've got this pot here that sits on top of the clutch bracket, or the clutch lever bracket. So this thing here is what the rear view mirrors used to screw into. Now obviously I've removed those mirrors and I've got bar ends now, so that's surplus to requirements, and what I could do is chop that off and then I'd be able to move the bracket over. Of course, that's not going to be particularly neat. I mean, I could chop it off, file it, paint it, and then flip it upside down to hide my handiwork. But at the end of the day, I'd never be able to put the mirror back into there because I've taken it away. So I need to replace that half bracket, or if you're going to Google one of these or put it into eBay, it's actually called a clutch perch or a clutch lever perch, which goes around there. So the first thing I did was went onto eBay and I bought this thing, which is actually a mirror clamp which goes around a 22mm handlebar, so it fits perfectly on here, and what I can do is take that half of it off, drill those holes out, and it will fit perfectly onto my clutch lever. Now the thing about that is I thought this was going to be bigger. There's not actually much to it, and it's only really designed to hold a mirror in place, not to hold a whole clutch lever for a 900cc motorbike. So I don't think that's really up to the job, and when you see the comparison between that and the thing that I'm taking off, you'll realise what I mean. So what I did was I went onto eBay and I bought myself this for £15. It's an entire clutch lever. You could buy one that comes off any of the Ninja series of bikes or the Kawasaki's that have got the front fairing, because they put the rear view mirrors onto the fairing, and so the clamp that holds the clutch lever in place is that, which is a half circle, which is of the correct sort of size. You can see the difference now between the old one, or the one that I bought on eBay that's no good, and this one, which is a nice meaty half circle. So what I'm going to do is take that, I'm going to replace the one that I've got on my bike. It's going to look neater anyway. It's something I've been meaning to do for a while, but also it's strong enough to hold it in place, and it means that I'll be able to move this bracket further that way, and that'll straighten the phone up. That's the theory. So let's try that, and then we'll come back to what the second problem is. Okay, I'm much happier with that now. The screen I can actually see. It's not a perfect angle, but it's a lot better. This is much neater around the clutch lever now. So, as I say, really happy with that. Also, you'll see I did lots of testing and adjusting to make sure that that screen is presented to me at the right angle, and also so that it doesn't foul on there or get in the way of any of the wiring and so on around there. So it's all good. But I did say there were two problems with it, and this is the other one, and I'd really value your opinion on this. So the idea is I've got this vibration dampener so that vibrations from the bike don't damage the camera and so on inside the phone. Now that's all well and good, but this has got the correct number of cylinders on it, i.e. 4, and so it's a silky smooth ride, as we all know. That means that there's not a huge amount of vibration that gets through to that phone. It's not as if I'm riding a V-twin or something. So I'm wondering if that vibration dampener is actually doing much at all. And in fact, with that on there, this thing wobbles about like crazy, especially with the bad roads and the potholes of the UK. I mean, you can see how much give is in all of this. So here you go, you can see how much movement is in that. So when I'm going over the potholes and the bumps, I don't know whether that's doing it more harm, shaking it around like this, or whether the vibrations of the bike are. So I'm quite tempted to actually lose this piece in the middle. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? Okay, so the charger does actually have a small button to turn it off, which is where I was going wrong earlier. I've switched it on now, and as you can see, it's charging a treat. And when I'm riding with all my sat-nav on and all my other apps running in the background, it still charges no problem at all. So here I am on a short and fairly slow ride. I'm hitting every manhole cover and pothole that I can find, and you know what? It's a lot more stable than I gave it credit for, so I'm really happy with this. Okay, that's more than enough faffing about with a Quadlock. I think that's in place now. It looks like a good job to me. The phone looks fantastic. It's on there, it's solid, and it will let me buy a new phone if I want to. Right, so that's it for this episode. Ride safe, everyone. Remember, keep those chains oiled, and I'll see you all soon.